culture and African fashion, you can see. Therefore, we are looking forward to collaborating as different countries, with our own cultural shows to come and enjoy this village.
You are watching the Global News on Atlantic Television Network. We will be right back after this break.
It's Christmas season! Hooray! A time to make merry with loved ones, a time to give thanks, and a time to be a blessing. May your holiday season be filled with joy, laughter, and beautiful moments. From all of us in Morrison Communications Limited, Wish 99.5 FM and Atlantic Television Network, we wish you a Merry Christmas full of amazing experiences. Cheers to a beautiful year end.
Welcome back. This is the Global News on Atlantic Television Network. Now to the rest of our stories. National Human Rights Commission has briefed media on its 10 days activities to mark a Universal Declaration of Human Rights Day starting on the 5th day of December 2023 in Abuja. Executive Secretary Dr. Tony Ojukwu said the program will focus on fostering partnerships with the key stakeholders and delve into complex landscapes of human rights mitigation in Nigeria, examine the current human rights situations, persistent challenges, and profile solutions.
This is one of the pivotal highlights of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights celebration. The town hall is aimed not only to sensitize, but also to foster partnerships with key stakeholders, and the event will delve into the complex landscape of human rights litigation in Nigeria, examining the current situation, the persistent challenges, and the future trajectory of this critical endeavor.
Ojukwu said the program will serve as a unifying call, recognizing the past and welcome the future, where justice, accountability, and human rights firmly underpin.
This event will also act as a unifying call, recognizing the past and welcoming the future, where justice, accountability, and human rights firmly underpin Nigeria's legal framework. Additionally, it will serve as a platform for key stakeholders to collectively determine a course of action. We shall also be unveiling the UDHR at 75 Commemoration Board.
He said this Human Rights Day will also be used to mark 7th anniversary of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, adding that the Commission will be unveiling a cumulative board to help remind the role of human rights of collective humanity.
This year's Human Rights Day is also marking the commemoration of the 75th anniversary of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. To mark this momentous occasion, the National Human Rights Commission will be unveiling a commemorative board whose illumination of the 30 articles of the Declaration will continue to be a solemn reminder of the role of human rights in preserving our collective humanity.
Nigerian Institute of Public Relations has vowed to clamp down on quacks dragging the name of the institution in the mud. This is even as the NIPR also noted that some people were masquerading as practitioners without licenses, While the institute said that the grace time is running out, it added that the deadline for compliance and enforcement is January 1st, 2024. Addressing 327 newly inducted members of the institute, a figure quoted to be one of the highest in its recent history at an event on Saturday in Abuja, President of NIPR, Dr. Ike Neliako, noted that the profession of public relations is fast taking center stage in nation building. Neliako urged the new members to contribute in helping to reshape the country's reputation. Presidential candidate of Labour Party in the February 25th election, Peter Obi, has said youths and other well-meaning Nigerians should work together to dismantle the criminality and corruption that has festered through different levels of government in the country. Obi disclosed this while giving a highlight of his engagement with some Nigerian youths in Enugu. In a statement on his X handle on Saturday, Obi said the interactive session with the young entrepreneurs, youth advocates, and change agents was aimed at discussing how to accelerate actions to achieve the SDGs in Nigeria through entrepreneurship and civic engagement. As a keynote speaker, Obi recalled pointing out to the youth that the Sustainable Development Goals are follow-ups to the Millennium Development Goals 2020-2015, which before it ended in 2015, none was ever achieved in Nigeria because they were not mainstreamed into the development agenda of government, unlike in other countries like China, India, Vietnam. This EOPIN shows how almost impossible it is to achieve the Sustainable Development Goals of eradicating poverty and ensuring at least basic education for every child by 2030. In his recommendations, Obi encouraged the youths to take on entrepreneurship no matter the difficulties they face in the country, stressing that it is only through entrepreneurship that they will be able to build a strong small business sector that will catalyze the economy, foster productivity, and help in moving the country from consumption to production. Leadership of Ahaneze Ndigbo decries the mercantile activities of Nigerian police officers on southeast roads, as they also lament hardship commuters experience as they journey across the southeast zone in Nigeria. The Apex Igbo Cultural Group made this known during a visit with the Police Service Commission Chairman, Dr. Solomon Arase, IGP retired. Speaking on Atlantic Television Blowout, the public affairs analyst, Comrade Chuba Opuzo, said the sole purpose of roadblocks is yet to be achieved amidst the alarming insecurity in the southeast. He further called for a better approach from the police and the military away from roadblocks.
It's very imperative to stress the fact that the aims of roadblocks and all of such in the southeast or anywhere else in the country is to ensure security. But you ask yourself the very, very vital questions. Is this security really affirmed or ensured in the first place? More so, there are a lot of people who have the opinion, who have this mindset that the southeastern part of Nigeria is harassed by the Nigerian government for many reasons. And one of such reasons cannot be overemphasized, overflown, which is the fact that the southeastern part of Nigeria has almost been looking like a threat-laden region, where the government is so conscious of everything that wants to happen there. Let's just take a case study. From here to from Port Harcourt City to Owerri main town, you have over 24 roadblocks, and these 24 roadblocks, many of which you must, at the end of the day, when you are asked to stop at these roadblocks for commuter vehicles, they must extort money from you. I call it extortion because what is the 100 naira, 200 naira as the case may be? What is it meant for? Then think of the entire southeast. If only from River State to Owerri has 24 roadblocks, and yet for one reason or the other, people still break the networks, and police officers police stations are attacked, police officers are killed, and all of that. Then you ask yourself, what exactly is the security structure architecture that the government has put in place that is workable? So for me, I think it is neither here nor there. Most importantly, we must ask ourselves, even the laden northeast where terrorism is the way it is, the military presidents that they are not extorting money from people. I can make bold to say, I travel on road from this town down to Akwa Ibom, from Akwa Ibom down to Dutse in Jigawa State by road. So we know what we are talking about. We say when we travel the Transvasis nation, and we see things that are different in security structuring, in the Southeast is more like people are almost caged for one reason or the other, and it must be spoken out the way it is.
Speaking further, he urged the police force to employ a better strategy to protect lives and properties against insecurity, as it has also contributed to the hike in goods and services across the Southeast zone.
We cannot emphasize that. I think to a large extent people can liken that or connect that with many things called the unknown government and all of that, and the kind of what led to how did all of this start. So the police commission must dig deeper, do the right investigations, then work out a better, more friendly strategy to govern a people. Because when you make a people feel that there is an intent, a sinister intent, whether you like it, quote or unquote, this intent is seemingly brewing around these people. Obviously, they see these things, and when they travel, they realize that even places where terrorists just come in, pack people, let me use the word, pack people, shoplift them as if they are goods, and take them away. These places are not laden with police officers or security personnel who are equally embodying them with extortion. So you now see to it that cost of living in the Southeast has increased because the transportation system has automatically increased on its own. When you pay a whooping 5,500 to Owerri from here, and then the driver starts asking you for money to pay to settle from here to Owerri, how do you know? All of this will be factored into the goods you are carrying down there. So whether we like it or not, I think these both parties need to do more. For me, the organization needs to speak up and stand up as leaders, and take directives or take options or move options for the people to see that yes, at least we are working in the right direction. I think the police will look more inwards and work out a better strategy to secure and govern.
As Nigeria commemorates this year's World AIDS Day, the federal government has launched a national policy document towards strengthening national response to HIV/AIDS, viral hepatitis, and sexually transmitted infections, STIs. Minister for Health and Social Welfare, Dr. Tunji Alausa, who launched the policies, said they're aimed at reducing the spread of the diseases and effectively manage their impact. Alausa said the policies are part of the National HIV/AIDS, viral hepatitis B and STIs framework, include the national guidelines for viral hepatitis treatment and care, noting that Minister noted that Nigeria has made significant progress, with as over 90% of people living with HIV and AIDS are on treatment, and many Nigerians now know their status.
With your support, so many lives have been saved across our country and significant impact made. The government of Nigeria will continue to work with you to address the numerous challenges that affect costs and services. These include HIV testing services, prevention of mother-to-child transmission of HIV/AIDS, treatment, care, and support, pre-exposure prophylaxis, condom promotion and distribution.
Chairman House Committee on AIDS called on government to do more by providing funds to assist the treatment and elimination of HIV. Stakeholders in the sector called for more active involvement of the communities in preventing HIV and future elimination.
I am aware of the target to eliminate mother-to-child transmission of HIV/AIDS by year 2030, and the fact that the national coverage of prevention of mother-to-child transmission is less than 50%, leading to about 22,000 cases of mother-to-child transmission of HIV every year in Nigeria. We are not unmindful that over 90% of funding for HIV/AIDS activities through programs in our country come from foreign partners. I therefore call on the federal government of Nigeria to look inwards in supporting domestic funding, because it is high time we decide our fate and not to over-depend on foreign aids, which does not do us any good.
We call on the government of Nigeria to meaningfully engage, empower, and support the communities to lead the HIV response by providing the enabling regulatory environment that would address cross-cutting issues, that is punitive laws and policies, stigma and discrimination, gender inequality, and violence that hinder the role of communities.
House of Representatives has passed into second reading the 2024 appropriation bill. The bill captures a proposed budget estimate of 27.5 trillion naira. Recall that on Tuesday, President Bola Tinubu had laid the 2024 appropriations bill before the joint session of the National Assembly, calling for its urgent consideration to meet up with the January to December budget cycle. Lawmakers who took turns to contribute on the second allotted day for the debate on the general principles of the bill described the 2024 appropriation bill as a people-centric budget aimed at bettering the lives of Nigerians. They applauded the executive arm of government for ensuring that the budget proposal adequately captured areas of security and education. Others in their contribution pointed out areas of serious concern, calling on the National Assembly to give consideration to these areas.
The renewed hope agenda, Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, is going to be a reality when this House begin to take their work seriously, especially the area of oversight. Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, I've looked at the revenue projection for this particular budget. 18 trillion naira, Mr. Speaker. 45% of that amount will be coming from oil. Today we have declared war on oil theft. That is the popular thing we know. That is what I call the Andrews opinion. It is unspoken, it is unheard of. Mr. Speaker, the Andrew opinion in the oil sector is that in the past 10 years, the multinationals have refused to carry out any critical investment in oil production in Nigeria. Mr. Speaker, I come from a majorly riverine area. And across Nigeria, from the north to the south, there are areas that people still go through water transportation. Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, we appear to be the most neglected, even in this budget. Mr. Speaker, since the removal of fuel subsidy, life has been extremely difficult for those of us who come from the riverine areas of this country. We need a more stabilized foreign exchange rate, particularly because of the private sector. I therefore want to enjoin the monetary policy managers that as we maintain the exchange rate along its fundamentals, we should also be wary of self-progressing speculative attacks at the naira, because I think this is also some of the factors that have contributed to what we have today as the exchange rate. Need for us to have a particular interest in looking at inclusivity, ensuring that people living with disability, women and girls, youth are prioritized across ministries in terms of the implementation. If there is not concerted effort for this target group I have mentioned to have that opportunity and have a positive response in terms of the implementation of this program, we may not have the anticipated impact of this budget.
The 2024 appropriation bill was referred to the House Committee on Appropriation, standing committees and subcommittees of the House. Following the passage of the bill, the House adjourned till the 12th of December to enable committees to engage with ministries, departments and agencies on the bill before final adoption and passage. Board of Civil Defense Immigration, Correctional and Fire Service has approved the promotion of 32,361 personnel of the services under the supervision of the Ministry of Interior. The Commandant General of the Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps, Dr. Abubakar Ahmed Audi, at a press conference shortly after its meeting in Abuja, read out the reports of the board. He said the list was approved at the 5th meeting of the Civil Defense, Immigration, Correction and Fire Service Board for the year 2023, chaired by the Minister of Interior, Dr. Olubunmi Tunji Ojo. Given the breakdown of the number of personnel across the services, the Commandant General of NSCDC noted that there was improvement in the numbers of promoted personnel as against the exercise carried out in the previous year, which, according to him, was a strategy adopted by the minister. He revealed that a total of 4,498 out of the 7,000 personnel were promoted in Nigerian Correctional Service, while 4,598 personnel were promoted out of 6,544 who sat at the Nigerian Immigration Service exams. Adding that exercise cuts across various ranks, the NSCDC boss also said 1,608 out of the 1,908 were promoted across all ranks in the Federal Fire Service. 21,355 out of 25,921 personnel who sat for the exams at the NSCDC were promoted by the board. While congratulating all personnel promoted across the services, Audi charged them to do more in the service of the country.
Where the Minister of Interior, Dr. Olubunmi Tunji Ojo, is presiding, met at its 5th sitting, for this year, and approved the following numbers of promotion of personnel for all the services, in the ministry. It's actually as follows. For Nigerian Correctional Service, the total number of those promoted, out of the number that actually sat for the promotion exams, 4,498 personnel have been promoted to the next rank out of 7,000 plus. There is a departure from last year. There is an improvement of the number of vacancies, that were obtained from the Office of the Head of Service.
President Bola Tinubu says Nigeria is committed to the reduction of methane emissions by at least 30% by 2030. Tinubu stated this on Saturday in Dubai while addressing stakeholders at the ongoing Global Climate Summit, COP28. Methane, CH4, is a hydrocarbon that is a primary component of natural gas. Methane is also a greenhouse gas, and as such, its presence in the atmosphere affects the Earth's temperature and climate system. Speaking at the forum on methane and other non-CO2 emissions reduction, Tinubu said Nigeria is signatory to the COP28 Global Decarbonization Accelerator and, having signed off as a member of the UN Global Compact, was working to achieve the AIM Summit. The president assured the gathering that Nigeria will continue to be a partner in progress to achieve renewables. Economic Community of West Africa States Parliament has appointed a new acting Secretary General of the Parliament, Bertin Some. The appointment was made by the Speaker of the Parliament, CDA Tunis, in a statement issued by the Parliament on Saturday in Abuja. It stated that the former Director of Parliamentary Affairs and Research, Some, got the appointment by the Parliament. Some, who assumed office on November the 1st, replaced John Azuma, who retired from the active service of the community. Speaker Tunis formally presented the acting Secretary General to the staff of the Parliament on November 20th in Abuja. During the ceremony, the Speaker extolled Some's human, managerial, and other qualities, including his sound knowledge of the workings of the institution. Some, a Burkinabe, joined the ECOWAS Parliament in September 2009 as a committee clerk and was appointed Director of Parliament Affairs and Research in February 2016. Now, business news. Nigeria's Civil Aviation Authority has lifted the suspension placed on the Part G operation specifications of United Nigeria Airlines. This is coming following the suspension of the Part G operation specifications of UNA by the NCAA after one of its aircraft landed passengers at the Asaba International Airport on Sunday rather than their destination, Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport, Abuja. The airline had blamed poor weather for the diversion of the Abuja-bound flight to Asaba, the Delta State capital. However, in a statement, the NCAA said its investigation into the unfortunate incident revealed lack of adequate liaison between the lesser OCC and the lesser OCC, which omitted appropriate flight briefing from the point of departure. The agency noted that the investigation also revealed that cockpit crew and cabin crew did not hold pre-flight briefing before embarking on the flight, and that the OCC flight monitoring of the United Airlines does not monitor the aircraft in the company's operation specifications Part G, as well as non-adherence to the approved flight ATC flight plan. Countries and oil companies at the UN Climate have promised to make major progress in tackling global warming in a large new energy pledge. Saudi Arabia's Aramco is one of 50 oil and gas companies pledging to stop adding to planet-warming gases by 2050. But that only covers emissions from production and not the actual burning of fossil fuels. Around 100 countries also promise to treble the renewable energy the world uses by 2030. They only cover emissions by the companies themselves when drilling and processing the fossil fuels, not the actual burning of oil and gas that produces electricity or powers petrol cars. They also allow companies to increase oil and gas productions in the short term, as long as it reduces by 2050. And now to international tidbits. Economic Community of West African States strongly condemn an outbreak of fighting in Guinea-Bissau, where the situation has returned to calm on Saturday. Clashes between members of the National Guard and Special Forces of President Guard broke out on Thursday night in the capital Bissau, leaving 2 dead. ECOWAS strongly condemns the violence and all attempts to disrupt the constitutional order and rule of law in Guinea-Bissau. President Umaro Sissoco Embalo, who was elected a 5-year term in December 2019, is in Dubai to attend the COP28 climate conference. Since gaining independence from Portugal in 1974, Guinea-Bissau has seen a series of coup attempts, the most recent being a failed overthrow in February 2022. Israeli airstrikes has killed 2 Syrian pro-Hezbollah fighters when they hit sites belonging to the Iran-backed group near Damascus on Saturday. The strikes near Damascus came less than 24 hours after the end of a Gaza truce between Hezbollah ally Hamas and Israel. Israel has launched hundreds of airstrikes on its northern neighbor since Syria's civil war began in 2011, primarily targeting Iran-backed forces and Lebanese Hezbollah fighters, as well as Syrian army positions. But it has intensified attacks since its war with Hamas began in October. Hamas last year said it had restored relations with Syria's government. The chief of the British-based Monitor, which has a network of sources inside Syria, had earlier said that Israel struck Hezbollah targets in the Sadia Zainab area of South Damascus. Pope Francis called on leaders of the COP28 climate summit in Dubai Saturday to step up and turn a corner on saving the planet. He said, let the COP be a turning point to demonstrate a clear and tangible political will leading to an acceleration of the ecological transition. The 86-year-old pontiff also said the world should move to end using fossil fuels. The speech by Francis, who cancelled his trip to the United Nations climate talks due to the flu, was read by the Vatican's second highest officer, Cardinal Secretary of the State, Pietro Parolin. The Pope added that the transition must be effective, binding, and easy to monitor, and to apply to 4 domains: energy efficiency, renewable energy, ending the use of fossil fuels, and education to make our lives less dependent on them. And now, entertainment news. Lover songstress Taylor Swift is set to earn more than $100 million from Spotify alone in 2023 after receiving 26.1 billion streams since the start of the year, per Variety. According to reports, Swift has earned about $104 million through November alone. If the Grammy Makers stream continues to steadily climb through December, however, she could walk away with closer to $130 million from the streaming giant, according to the outlet. Her hits, Cruel Summer and Anti-Hero, also made the top 10 songs globally, and her album Lover ranked number 7 for the year. The global sensation's latest win comes after it was revealed that she reached billionaire status thanks to the success of her Eras tour. Bloomberg News analysis reported in October, in total, the Grammy winner can walk away with $130 million from music play platforms alone this year. Here now is ATN Sports News. Nigeria Army Personnel Corporal Ruben Hannah, representing the Armed Forces of Nigeria, has won gold medal in the women's 76-kilogram event at the ongoing 36th World Military Wrestling Championship in Azerbaijan. The Army headquarters made this known in a post on its official X handle on Saturday. Corporal Hannah thanked the Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Taurid Lagbaja, and other service chiefs for ensuring wrestlers in the Nigerian Army attended the 36th World Military Wrestling Championship. She won the silver medal in the women's 76-kilogram event at the 2022 and 2023 African Wrestling Championships. Lionel Messi is not ruling out another bid for World Cup glory with Argentina in 2026, despite acknowledging that time is working against him. Messi, who recently won his 8th Ballon d'Or, raised the World Cup almost a year ago after starring for Argentina in the finals against France in Doha. The 36-year-old has suggested at the time that the tournament in Qatar would be his last and that he wouldn't be around for the next tournament, which would be co-hosted by the United States, Canada, and Mexico. But having moved to Major League Soccer's Inter Miami and continued performing for the national team in qualifiers for 2026, he says the door remains open. Bayern Munich's clash against Union Berlin has been postponed due to heavy rainfall in the Bavarian capital. Authorities confirmed on Saturday the match had been scheduled to take place on Saturday afternoon, but a press statement from Bayern said security risk and the traffic situation made cancellation unavoidable. Prior to the cancellation of the game, the Munich transport authorities had already stopped rail connections in the greater Munich area, while traffic had largely come to a standstill. In a statement issued on Saturday, Bayern said there was an incalculable risk for spectators and explained it is hardly possible to get to the arena. The German Football League, which administers the Bundesliga, confirmed that the cancellation of Saturday and said a new date for the match would be communicated soon. 10-man Germany beat France on penalties to win the Under-17 World Cup football final in Indonesia on Saturday, becoming the first team to win the world and European age titles in the same year. The match went to extra time when the teams were unable to break a 2-2 deadlock in humid conditions in Surakarta on Java Island. The young Germans then held their nerve in the penalty shootout to beat the Blues with their first Under-17 world title in a rematch of this year's European Championship finals, which they also won on penalties. Goalkeeper Konstantin Heidi was the German hero, saving 2 penalties before Borussia Dortmund's Almugera Kabar scored a decisive sport kick to seal the shootout 4-3. Germany had taken a 2-goal lead in normal time through Borussia Dortmund's talented forward Paris Brunner in the 28th minute and captain Noah David in the 50th, but were pegged back by a stubborn French side. European football's governing body has announced that Women's Champions League will be expanded and have a new format for 2025-26 season. The new format will see group stage turned into an 18-team league phase in which each team plays 3 home and 3 away matches followed by knockout rounds. No further details were confirmed, but it is a move along the same lines as the planned new format for the Men's Champions League, which will be introduced from next season and will see 36 teams organized into one league, with each playing 8 matches. The Women's Champions League was a straight knockout competition until a group stage was created starting in 2021, featuring 16 teams split into 4 groups of 4. Barcelona are the reigning champions, having defeated Wolfsburg of Germany in last season's final, inspired by Spain World Cup winning star Atlanta Bonmati. UEFA also said it would create a second competition for women's club from 2025 to 2026. The Champions League is currently the only UEFA champion for women's teams, while there are 3 men's tournaments with the second-tier Europa League and the recently introduced Europa Conference League. And that's the global news for tonight. Before we go, another look at the major stories. Fubara urges investors fast-track housing projects. Appeal court upholds Oti's election as governor. Tinubu pledges commitment to methane reduction. Oil firms commit to fossil fuel cut by 2050. Israel strikes kill 2 in Syria. Taylor Swift to earn $100 million from Spotify. And Messi leaves door open to 2026 World Cup. I am Robinson Apu. Thank you for watching. You can follow us on social media at Atlantic TV Network, Facebook and YouTube at Atlantic Television Network, and on Instagram at Atlantic TV Network. Peace and unity are the pathways to progress. Good night.